Deepwater is an excerpt taken from Of Men and Mountains by William O. Douglas, a leading advocate of individual rights and justice in the courts of USA. It reveals how, as a young boy, he nearly drowned in a swimming pool. He talks about his fear of water and thereafter how he finally overcame it. Deepwater deals with the childhood fear of Douglas. A misadventure at the YMCA pool developed an aversion of water in him and he suffered from hydrophobia. The chapter focuses on the fact that childhood fear must be treated lightly. If they are not tackled, then they make a deep inroads into one's psychology. William Douglas had innate aquaphobia. This handicap would have marred his entire life had he not chosen to confront and defeat it. In this autobiographical account, Douglas details his struggle to learn swimming. The foray into swimming was punctuated by many harrowing incidents, one of which nearly pushed him to the edge of death. However, the never-say-die spirit of Douglas brought him the triumph against his aquaphobic weakness and made him an accomplished swimmer. When he was 10 or 11, he decided to learn swimming. For his initiation to his skill, he chose the YMCA swimming pool at Yakima. The Yakima River, which flowed nearby, was too treacherous for a young learner. Quite understandably, Douglas's mother cautioned him not to venture into the foreboding waters of the river that had taken a few lives already. The YMCA swimming pool was scientifically designed with 2 feet depth at the shallow end. At the farthest end, the depth increased to 10 to 12 feet. Its floor sloped gradually towards the deeper end. The young Douglas got a pair of water wings and proceeded to make his maiden foray into pool's waters. As a young boy, he was reluctant to go there, virtually naked barring his legs. The water, however, appeared ominous to the boy from the very start. The awe of water had clung to Douglas from the age of 3 or 4. An outing to California beach with his father had left some fearful memories. On that occasion, the surging waters overpowered him, nearly drowning him, even if he had held tightly to his father's legs. Apparently, the water intended to kill him, thought Douglas. His father stood amused. The dreadful memory, however, haunted him for long years thereafter. This awful memory came rushing into Douglas's mind as he waited by the poolside, waiting to take his plunge. Nonetheless, he went on paddling with the water wings in place. There were a few kids in the pool. Douglas looked towards them, trying to imitate their flapping hands and legs. 2 or 3 days went by in such practice. Douglas's confidence increased marginally, but there was tragedy waiting. On a lonely day when there was no one around, Douglas came to the pool. The water was still and the floor of the pool was clearly visible. He sat there on the edge of the pool as he thought it imprudent to venture in. He lacked the courage. A big boy, looking like a bully, came in a short while. He looked 18 with his well-built muscular frame. He was itching for a little fun. Quite brusquely, he shoved Douglas into the pool. Poor Douglas was unprepared for the jolt. He landed in a sitting position, gulped water and sank to the bottom. He was nervous, but didn't run out of wits. instantly he chalked out his plan of action to come out of danger. He decided to push against the floor with his feet, propel himself up till he reached the surface, lie flat, and then paddle his way to safety. But there was no deliverance from the ordeal yet. Douglas began to go down again. Then something intriguing happened. Douglas felt a new calm. His tired limbs felt relaxed. His brain sensed some conversation going on. People were chatting animatedly. Someone was carrying him in his arms. He didn't feel any more panic. He seemed to be regaining his senses, but he lapsed into a queer sort of sleep. When he woke up, he found himself lying on his stomach by the poolside. He had thrown up. The extra water he had gulped had come out. He overheard someone saying that he was just joking. Apparently, it was the same guy who had pushed him to water. There was relief all around. It seemed as if he had a close brush with death and he had cheated it. He was carried into the locker room. Douglas was determined to banish the lingering aquaphobia from his mind. In 1 October, he engaged a swimming coach to teach him swimming. The coach assembled a rope and pulley assembly that was hooked to pre-attempt any chance of Douglas drowning. Day after day, Douglas persisted with his swimming practices under the watchful eye of his trainer. He made incremental progress after each session. He gained in confidence as his fear of water receded, but the progress was not easy. It was punctuated by instances of panic and failures. After 3 months and hundreds of swims, Douglas finally felt a sense of accomplishment. He was no longer fettered by the fear of water. He learned how to exhale when his head was underwater and inhale when it was above it. Then came the feet strengthening exercises. The coach made him sit on the edge of the pool and throw his leg up and down. After a few days, he developed fine command over his legs. By April, the coach's perseverance and Douglas's zeal paid off. He had become a skilled swimmer. The coach let him swim back and forth in the pool with no assistance. The relentless pursuit to learn swimming and to banish fear not only bore fruit, but also taught him some valuable lessons in life. He realized how true was President Roosevelt when he said, "All we have to fear is fear itself." Douglas had survived a near-death situation once and later learned to dispel the long shadow the horror has cast on his psyche. The conquest emboldened him to defy fear and venture on to nerve-wracking feats. He emerged a much stronger man from the childhood ordeal simply because he chose to confront dread through frontal assault. The story observes a beautiful use of simile in the form of tiled bottom was as wide and as clean as a bathtub. The story observes another use of simile when the writer says, "Those 9 feet were more like 90. Another simile in the form of the statement, "I imagined I would bob to the surface like a cork." You can also observe the 4th simile in the form, "Stark terror took an even deeper hold on me, like a great charge of electricity." When you read the story, you can find series of emotions and fear. Douglas did not lose his wits immediately as he was thrown into the pool. Although frightened, he thought of a trick to come up to the surface but couldn't execute it successfully. He panicked and felt suffocated by the water. His sense perceptions gave way, his heart pounded loudly, his limbs became paralyzed with fear. His mind became dizzy and his lungs ached as he gulped water, while making desperate attempts to come out of water. Finally, he lost his strength and willingness to keep struggling and blacked out. Douglas planned to allow himself to go down till his feet hit the bottom so that he could make a big jump to come back to the surface like a cork. Then he would lie flat on the surface of water and paddle to the edge of the pool. The story teaches us the value of desire, determination, and diligence. Determination and perseverance is a combination of attributes and abilities that drive people to set goals for themselves and then to take the initiative to achieve these goals. Douglas was able to overcome his fear of water by values of positive attitude and courage. Initially, he was afraid of water, but his grit and determination made him get an instructor and overcome his fear. Determination today leads to our success tomorrow. It is that innate quality in our soul which comes to surface when an incident irks it. It is a reflection of our values taught to us by society and circumstances and enables us to overcome all obstacles. There is always admiration of heroes like William Douglas who faced challenges courageously and finally emerged successful. For years, the fear of water haunted him. It deprived him of the joy of canoeing, swimming, fishing, and boating. However, it was deliberate, planned, and continuous efforts that enabled Douglas to get over his fear. He was absolutely determined to get rid of his fear, and it was due to his perseverance and resoluteness that he emerged victorious. The story teaches us all we have to fear is fear itself. Douglas was afraid of water from a very young age. His misadventure at the YMCA pool further increased his water phobia. He was unable to enjoy fishing and boating trips. Finally, he decided he had to overcome his fear. He could not do it without seeking professional help, so he appointed an instructor who gradually made him an excellent swimmer. Still, Douglas was not satisfied. He made use of every opportunity to swim and dive in water, thus challenging his fear. He was able to overcome his fear completely, and this led him to make the statement that what one is afraid of is fear itself, and if we are able to overcome that fear, then we can achieve anything in life. To sum up, Deepwater summary, we learn that if we are determined enough and have the courage, we can overcome any fear that comes our way without letting the fear overpower us.